Hi folks, how you doing? It's David Connelly here, the web developer extraordinaire. I've just been working on my first commercial Trongate site, and it's a site for hotels, with different hotels, and you can search by region and book in and all of that stuff. And basically I've just blitzed it in about, I would say, I started at 2:30 in the morning and it's now 4:19, so just under 2 hours. And I thought I would give you just a little verbal summary of how it went. And it's not a sales spiel or anything. I'm not going to sit and say everything's, life is perfect, even though it kind of is. But I just want to, put it on record for the people at Speed Coding Academy how my experience went with this. So let's talk about it. Well, the first thing I can tell you is that for the first half hour or so, I was making a lot of stupid mistakes. I kept just tripping up and typing in, the wrong things and forgetting certain form fields and stuff like that. And that was an irritation, but it might be just because it's so late at night. After about the first half hour, I started to get into the groove and it got much easier as we went on. The module relations was fantastic. That just went so well. The thing just blitzed straight through it and it was really, really great. I mean, you can see all of the different categories I've got here, and these are all, believe it or not, working. So for example, if I take you to manage bookings, they're all empty just now. But, I have got things like arrive date, for example, and departure date, and this is all being error checked and everything. These drop downs, they do actually link in with the other modules. That reminds me, another thing that I noticed is that the relationships are dominated by one-to-many relationships. It turns out we use one-to-manys all the time. All these years I never used that language and I never really thought of relationships that way. But as you get to use the code generator, you'll realize that virtually everything is a one-to-many relationship. Now, here's, I'll give you two flaws and a much needed upgrade, in my opinion, right? So the two flaws, or the two imperfections, the first one is that when you go through the process of creating one module and then another module, and then you go back and create the module relationship, well, it tends to put, well, it doesn't tend to, it will put the drop-down menu at the bottom of the form. So for example, if we take manage properties here, and I click into it and I go update details, you'll see that things like location ID and property types ID, so that's going to be things like hotel, bed and breakfast. You'll see that these are, just because of the way it works, it's the relationship's the last thing you do. So naturally, the code generator is going to be adding those to the bottom of the form. So that's not a mistake. In fact, that's going to suit people a lot of the time. But I think you are, in some instances, going to have to go in and just paste them upstairs, things like that, The other thing, which is not really a flaw, but just to be aware of, is that this could really make you a rubbish web developer if you're not careful. Because I had built this as a code igniter site. I could show you, and it took me the best part of 18 months. Now I've done it in just under 2 hours, And I think that there's a danger with stuff like this, that you kind of become complacent and you just think, well, I don't need to learn about database structure or PHP or anything like that. And nothing could be further from the truth. This is not a replacement for learning about web development. And in fact, there are a few parts of it that I'm going to have to really get stuck in with PHP. So for example, the properties can have adverts and they can have these showcase pages, which you don't need to know about, but they are all separate modules and it's going to work and it's fine. But I am going to need to do some PHP to get this just perfect. Another example will be things like inquiries, for example, where you might want the date to be automatically populated when a record's created. Again, you're going to need to know some PHP for that. So what I'm basically saying is, yes, the pace is incredible, but this is not an excuse to not learn about the basics of web development, and just watch out for that, you know. Finally, I'll give a mention to a feature request, which I think would be really good, and I'd love to do it in the future. So one feature that I think this could really benefit from, and I haven't seen it on any framework yet, but I would love to have a website snapshot feature. So the idea there, I had one stage where I made a module and I forgot some fields, and it generates a database and everything, and I was able to delete the module. That was nice. But I think it would be really cool if you could somehow hit a button and it takes a backup of everything, maybe as a zip file, and also backs up the database as well. Now, I've seen, obviously, things like migrations where they just do the database, and we've got things like Git for doing the file structure, but I've never seen a solution that just takes a snapshot of everything, like the database and you name it. I just think that would be kind of a cool feature, you know. I think it would be an amazing feature, quite frankly. So what else? No, that was pretty much it. The only other thing I would say is that it is going to take some getting used to, especially for the experienced developers. It's kind of a bit like, imagine going to the mid-1800s and you've got somebody who's been nicking about with a horse and carriage, and now you suddenly hand them the keys to a Lamborghini. Now, of course, they're going to be a wee bit impressed for about 10 minutes, but when you get in, it's strange. It's a different way of doing things. It feels awkward. It feels kind of like, geez, is this, is this doing what I think it's going to do? And you feel a wee bit disconnected, you know. But that went away after about half an hour, and I got into the groove, and it was pretty good. So, all in all, I'm excited, you know. I've pretty much done probably about 80% of the back end of this thing now. I'm going to wrap up some bits and pieces, throw together the front end. This is going to be a massive site. I mean, I'm not hanging about with this. I'm really jumping in the deep end, but I'm feeling good about this. The other thing I would say, by the way, the properties builder is frigging amazing. I never thought it would be that good, but the properties builder has turned out to be a complete lifesaver. And whoever suggested building one of those, thank you, because that so far has been my favourite feature. Just a couple of points before I wrap this one up, folks. You know, Trongate has been built to help you to create large-scale enterprise apps. Never let anyone tell you that this is for small sites or something like that. The site that I'm doing just now, this one that you're looking at here, look at the navigation. It obviously needs work. A lot of those things will be removed, in fact. But this site, in case anybody's wondering how much I'm being paid or anything, look, the answer's nothing. It's for my brother, and he needs help with this, you know. But he was quoted. I actually got a few quotes, and they were all coming in round about between the 20 and 30,000 mark. So this is not Mickey Mouse websites we're doing. This is made for big, giant enterprise websites, and this is what I would call a fairly substantial site. I mean, it's certainly bigger than an online shop or something like that. And so far, so good. I think it's going to take me about a week to get this done. That's probably a week with maybe 4 hours per day. But most of that time is going to be spent adding the data, doing the front end, and integrating a payment system. And those things are kind of out with the realms of the code generator. So that's your update. To the experienced developers, I warn you, you're going to have maybe a few days of feeling a bit frustrated with this. And especially because it's brand new, there's going to be 3 weeks of glitches, okay? Just expect it. It's going to happen. It's normal. But to the experienced developers, using this felt a wee bit like the time when I switched from a Windows to a Mac, where everything just felt awkward and strange, and it took me a while. So be ready for that, because it will feel a bit awkward. It's very different from the way that you've worked in the past. To the new developers, the people who are just starting out, I think you're going to love this. I really do. But beware, you don't want to think that this is a substitute for learning web development. It's not, In fact, it has not diminished the need to learn one single bit. So don't forget to, go through that stuff, and there's a whole bunch of videos on Speed Coding Academy for that. Alright, so thank you very much. That's my honest summary of how it went, folks. I'm just letting you know. I'll also be giving you an honest summary of how my crypto thing went soon. But it's a wee bit too soon. I'll talk to you later, okay?